Hello all, and welcome to this. It's WrestleMania weekend. It's the end of WrestleMania. Well, I guess it's not the end. We still have Raw to go, but WrestleMania is itself over. So WrestleMania weekend, as you know, all except for Raw, is done, and lots to talk about. Of course, I'm at home. If you didn't watch any of the other videos I've done, I did not go to WrestleMania this year. Had family stuff come up. I knew about this long before I wasn't going to be able to go, so I didn't go. I definitely be going next year, though. There's very little doubt in my mind, unless something earth-shattering happens and I just can't go. Um, from everyone that I know that was there, everyone seemed to have a really good time. It's New Orleans. If you've never been there, it's pretty amazing. I, of course, have been to New Orleans. When I lived in Houston, I'd go 3, 4 times a year. Always thoroughly enjoyed it. Good music, good food. Just an amazing place to go. And those are the type of places that I think really WrestleMania should always be at, anyways. New Orleans, Orlando, San Diego. They can't do it in Vegas just because Vegas doesn't have a big enough venue, but that's one place. That's another place that it should be. Atlanta wasn't bad. It just Atlanta was kind of Atlanta. Um, Miami was a great place to have it. San Diego would probably be a good place to have it. I'm sure. I'm sure next year. But it's actually in San Jose, but San Francisco area. And we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I know that then we're going. Then it'll be in Dallas the year after that. Dallas is okay. I'm not the biggest fan of the city of Dallas as far as going to. City's fine. There's places to go, particularly in Fort Worth, but if you're going like on a vacation, there's not a lot of vacation stuff. There's a lot of restaurants, good restaurants in Dallas, but it's a lot of chain restaurants. If you want to like a lot of like local stuff, Houston, where I lived, is far better for that. But I can't see them going back to Houston. Anytime. And as much as people complained about Houston, people are going to complain, the exact same complaints people are going to complain about Dallas, particularly parking, when it comes to going to a Jerry World. But anyways, we're 2 years away from that, so none of that matters. Anyways, WrestleMania happened, and of course, Daniel Bryan did win. The world did not end. WWE made the right decisions, for the most part. Yay to them. And of course, the other big thing was the network. Was the network going to be able to handle WrestleMania? I have the network. I actually had people over. I actually had people over last night, actually, who wanted to watch the Hall of Fame because Ultimate Warrior was going in the Hall of Fame. That was really the only reason they wanted to see. Well, that and Mr. T. And so I had like 4 people over for that. Had more people over tonight. And told them, I said, I don't know if this is going to work. I might kick you all out and just, might have to find other means to watch the show. But it worked perfectly last night, or I shouldn't say perfectly. It worked very good. I have an Xbox, and it worked very good, I would say. It buffered a little bit. Last night I was probably the longest I was behind anybody because of the buffering, just judging on Twitter, was about 30 seconds. Tonight it was closer to about a minute 30, I think was the longest. But nothing, it worked really well. It was, even the people that were here really didn't complain. I told them, we might get some buffering and some other stuff. They all completely understood. Tonight, I actually had people over that were just very leery of watching the network, or getting the network, because they weren't sure if, the pay-per-views were really going to work. Because this, of course, was the first pay-per-view, and it's WrestleMania. It's the biggest pay-per-view. But I can at least know 4 other people now that are going to go get the network. Of course, we'll find out the network numbers. The first numbers tomorrow, I believe, if I remember right. I believe they come out tomorrow. And that number looks like it's going to be possibly a very big number. It not definite. It could be 500,000 for all I know. But it looks like there's a chance it could be 850,000 people, maybe more, have signed up for the network. That's pretty damn good considering their goal for the first year was 1 million, and that was before they would get a lot of the international stuff, which will be next year, is when more of the international stuff for the network will go. So that all worked beautifully. The pay-per-view itself was excellent if you've not seen the pay-per-view. There was other stuff, of course, this weekend. You know, if I had been in New Orleans, I probably would have done a lot of the same things, minus one thing, maybe two, that, you know, I didn't get to watch. Of course, Ring of Honor doesn't stream their pay-per-views anymore. They will be streaming their next, I guess the next big show, which will be the New Japan pay-per-views on Ustream. We'll see how that goes. You know, there's a lot of variables when it comes. The people need to remember the venues that Ring of Honor runs, particularly, and New Japan's a better example of this because Ring of Honor doesn't, or WWE doesn't run any venues. I don't think. Maybe they run some very small venue like C-show venues, maybe once a year. But New Japan, the smallest venues that New Japan would run normally are going to be about the same size as the biggest venues Ring of Honor runs. And those venues are set up for television, which, you know, maybe, you know, I think Manhattan Center, the Hammerstein Ballroom, all of that, is the only place that Ring of Honor runs that's really set up for television. Everything else is set up, you know, you can put television there, but they're really not set up for television. They don't have any of the, you know, they're not wired for it, so they're definitely not wired in, for, you know, to boost stuff on the internet. Where in Japan, they're way ahead of us as far as that goes. So, you know, there's a lot of that you have to remember when we're talking about Ring of Honor being on Ustream. But anyways, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Wrestlemania. So, I definitely would have gone to the Ring of Honor shows instead of watching the Dragon Gate show that I watched. Even though the Dragon Gate show I watched was really good, it was great actually. Though it didn't start out that way. The Ring of Honor show sounded a tons better. I don't know if I would have been able to go to the Shimmer show, which I also watched this weekend, because with the Ring of Honor tapings, TV tapings, I may have, and if push come to shove, I probably would have gone with LV to Shimmer over the Ring of Honor TV tapings, just because I've never been to a Shimmer show. So there would have been that. And let's see, what if I would have gone to the Hall of Fame? I would have. There was enough people. I don't know if I would have been able to make the show because there was some stuff to the guys that were there. But I would have tried to have gone to Kaiju Big Battle as well, which I also watched because I just, you know, it's midnight. It's, you know, Kaiju Big Battle should really, you know, here's an idea if any of them happen to watch. One of the things I would recommend if they could pull this up. I don't know if they could pull this out. I don't know if they get in trouble for this, but maybe get a projector, one of those digital, get a digital projector. I don't know if you can actually do this, and stream the, you know, do your show Saturday night into Sunday morning. Finish the show right before New Japan starts their iPay-per-view, and, you know, don't charge anyone for the iPay-per-view. Just charge them for your show and say, hey, if you want to stay later, we're gonna all watch the New Japan, you know, iPay-per-view. We're gonna have a big digital projector, and we're all gonna watch it, and you know, go do it that way. And, you know, for all the people that I'm sure even in New Orleans that stayed up late and watched that show, which was awesome, by the way. It was an awesome show too. So there was that. There will be star ratings for all of that stuff down below. But yeah, the Open the Ultimate Gate was an excellent show. You know, really good show. The Shimmer show was also a great show. I mean, not even counting if it was a women's show, just a show. It was an awesome show. It was a great show. And then the New Japan iPay-per-view was, of course, awesome. Naito and Ishii kicked it out of the park again, and also Tanahashi and Nakamura had a great match. Wow, imagine that. But everything else was really good, really set up. You also, we now know that Mr. AJ Styles will be is, you know, now in New Japan, and he will be taking on Okada which that was a pretty good angle if you watched it. The Gracies can go to hell for all I care, but, you know, whatever. Anyways, so, and of course I watched the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame was great. Everyone should go out of their way to see Jake the Snake Roberts' speech. The guy still has it. There was no doubt in my mind he was still working the crowd, even though he was talking about not being able to work the crowd. It was just this marvelous speech, and also Ultimate Warrior speech. If you know the story behind the whole Ultimate Warrior WWE rift, and you know, I never got that DVD. I never got the destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, or whatever it was. I never got that DVD because just from the excerpts I saw, it looked like a crap job. It looked like they were just burying the guy. And I'm not going to sit here and say the guy was the greatest wrestler ever, because he wasn't. He freely admits he wasn't the greatest worker ever. That what he was intensity. What he was a character, and that was it. And he gave a very no bullshit, I know a lot of people won't believe that, but no bullshit speech, in which he was able to just kind of say what he wanted to say. It was very cool to hear him go, kind of give out, you know, his opinions and kind of how he saw things, and that was well worth it. But yeah, Jake the Snake Roberts, if you're a die-hard wrestling fan, Jake the Snake Roberts' speech was fairly awesome, to put it mildly. And DDP, you know, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and you know, I think people who have followed, you know, DDP and what he's done for Jake Roberts and what he's done for Scott Hall know that it hasn't been perfect. It's not like that he totally, you know, has changed them and they haven't had any relapses or anything like that. But what he has been able to do is just amazing, and I think he deserves a lot of credit. What's for that? But anyways, so all of that happened, and like I said, the streaming of the network worked beautifully. Very good investment, and so we come to WrestleMania, and I will tell you that if you don't think Daniel Bryan being in the main event, or possibly even being in the main event, most people figured he'd be in the main event, most people figured he was going to win, on this show was not a big deal. Realized that Moral Virus watched this show, and he almost doesn't watch any pro wrestling anymore. If you remember a guy that used to be on here named Calvin A. Hobbs, I know he watched this show, and he's not watched a pro wrestling show in I don't know how long. C-Dude, if you remember him, he was actually at WrestleMania, actually went to the shows. You know, it's basically and for Jared and for Moral Virus and for C-Dude Chase, for both of them, it's basically taken them just to kind of, it took Daniel Bryan and New Japan to kind of get them, you know, kind of back in the fold a little bit. They all watched, you know, all of that happened. You had Markeem, Nightmare Baller. He, you know, would not spend money on Vince, will not, you know, does not want the network for that very reason. He doesn't believe in giving Vince any money. He watched this show and actually said he might actually start watching some WWE now because of this show. That says a lot, because, you know, you need the, you know, that to me that says a lot. Not that I think this show was perfect. There is a part in this show that I am going to go on I might go on a big fat rant about. Well, I probably will, and I'm sure everyone knows what that is. So, anyways. Anyways, so WrestleMania started. Of course, there was a 2-hour pre-show. There was the actual pre-show to basically sell you on to buying the network and getting the network, instead of the pay-per-view. And then there was an hour only for I believe only for the network. Maybe they stuck it on the pay-per-view provider stuff too, but it looked like it was only for the network. All of those people. So if that was the case, then, you know, a lot of those people didn't get to see the 4-way tag match, which was pretty damn great, to be honest. I really liked it. It was, you know, the Usos being the Usos. Curtis Axel and Ryback actually did a really good job of you know, not being overshadowed. It was just really fun, very good. You know, excellent opener. Um, really enjoyed it. It was just fun. And then, as what I figured, the pay-per-view started, and what the pay-per-view actually started with, which what I figured the pay-per-view would start with, was Daniel Bryan versus Triple H to give Daniel Bryan, some rest, because I figured they would do it to try to top Owen and Brett. They definitely didn't do that. But this was still a great match. It was a little slow in places for my liking. You can definitely tell Triple H has some ring rust, and and Daniel Bryan was kind of pacing himself, which I kind of wish he wouldn't have done. I kind of wish, I really do wish they would have taken the handcuffs off, gone to him, said, "Okay, kid, it's time to prove it. It's time to show what you can do," and just let him go out there and let him do what he can do. And they did that kind of, I think, but not really. But match was great. Lots of near falls. I was on Twitter, and people were just going absolutely nuts for this match. I think if it had been anywhere else on the card, I think you could have main evented with this, especially if it was for the title, and people would have just been absolutely, going crazy. Daniel Bryan won, of course, which everyone loved, and so we went from there. Then we had the Shield versus Kane and the New Age Outlaws, which I'm sure... Oh, no, I forgot to even talk about what we opened with. We opened with one of the greatest things ever, even for, not being a wrestling match, which was Hulk Hogan came out. Of course, he was the guy for WrestleMania this year, and he's talking and going around, and of course he messed up and said that they were in the Silverdome instead of the Superdome, and he's going off, and then Steve Austin's music plays, and yes, at WrestleMania we got the Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan stare down, which was a pretty awesome thing, pretty awesome. And then they brought out The Rock after that. And so all three of them in the ring. Really the only thing this was missing was, and I'm not the only one that brought this up, Bruno Sammartino. If they would have, at the end of this, brought up Bruno Sammartino, so you would have had all four guys out there at one time. That would have been something. I don't know if you could have gotten Bruno out there. I don't know if Bruno could have walked all the way down and it would have worked or whatever. But yeah. Really, that was only that would have made this just that much better. But this itself was just an awesome moment. It was one of those WrestleMania moments. So there you go. Completely forgot about that. We had there was all sorts of skits that I'm not going to remember. So, but then we had Kane and we had the Shield versus Kane and the New Age Outlaws. This definitely, I would imagine that opening little montage with Hogan and Austin and The Rock probably went a little long. Maybe the opener went a little long too. So this was very short, but was exactly what it needed to be, and put the Shield over huge. So there was that. Then you had the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which was okay. It was a Battle Royal. It was awesome in the end. If you didn't see the end, you need to go see it, because Big Show did not win. Cesaro won by slamming Big Show out of the ring. And you have to see this, because it wasn't like he just kind of picked him up and tossed him. He picked him up, walked with him, and then tossed him. This dude is a strong mofo. That's all I have to say about that. Match itself was pretty good. Kofi got one of his crazy spot things that was really good, and way too many guys at the start of this. By the time they got it down to, like, the guys that kind of people cared about, it got pretty good. You had John Cena versus Bray Wyatt. They gave Bray Wyatt... Oh, I should talk about... Daniel Bryan didn't get a special entrance, but of course Triple H did. It was very cool. Very as Jerry the King Lawler, Frank Frazetta-esque. He actually said that on the air, and I was just going crazy, because that's my favorite comic book-esque type artist ever, if you know who that is. And talked about that. His was really good. His was top shelf stuff. Same thing he kind of done before. Came out with the Conan-esque type thing, and actually had women with him this time. This was pretty good stuff. And then Then we had, of course, we had this match, and Bray Wyatt came out. And before Bray Wyatt came out, they did. I kind of wish they had done something different here, and I'll get into that. They had this woman kind of dancing, this voodoo type woman kind of dancing, kind of fits Bray Wyatt's thing. And then, of course, they had the band that plays Bray Wyatt's intro. They're live playing, that was cool. I really wish they could have had the band. But, Bray Wyatt does his little intro and says, New Orleans, we're here. And then he should have said, we're all here. And blown out the lamp, he walks out, and it's basically him being carried out. And it's the whole, you have a bunch of dudes, even ladies, with the lamb masks on, the sheep masks on, coming out, carrying him on the rocking chair down the ramp. I think that would have been so much better with the live music playing. That would have been so much better. What they did was okay. I mean, it still worked. It was still creepy. He is probably the best entrance now in pro wrestling. So there was that. Then we got The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. And if you read my star ratings down at the bottom, which some of you will do, you will see me say, and I mean this match was okay. But also, you know what? Fuck this match. And really, it does. I mean, we'll get to the end here in a minute. The match itself was way too long. You have The Undertaker, who's old, who can't do what he used to be able to do. You have to put him in there with a guy who can really work to carry him, like we saw with Punk last year, to something great. Then you have Brock Lesnar. And, Brock isn't a full-time wrestler. He really hasn't been the same guy since he's come back. He can still put on a great match as long as he's in there with somebody great. And you have to run a specific type of match, but he's not going to be the type of guy that can carry necessarily a guy to a great match. You have both of those guys out there. You give them this long, prodding, match instead of you could have done the exact same match they did, much shorter, maybe 10, 12 minutes, and it would have been a lot better. And I think the people would have been into it more. Because it would have been probably more high impact. And they did some good stuff. Brock hit some hit some good slams on The Undertaker and all of that. So, all of that worked. And then, of course, Brock Lesnar won. And that's the big news coming out of this. And, if you've listened to me for any length of time, this always comes up. Should The Undertaker lose? Should The Undertaker lose? I've always said no. Always said no. Now, I will say that if for whatever reason they decided he needed to lose, Brock Lesnar wasn't the guy. Now, if Undertaker decided, you know what, this is it, whatever, WWE should have tried to talk him out of it. WWE should have done whatever they could. If Undertaker called, some sort of, audible in the ring, so be it. And we'll find all of that out. But if this was the WWE deciding to put over Brock Lesnar, which that's what I think they did. I think they decided, you know what, we need to put over Brock, and here's why we need to put over Brock, because I think on Extreme Rules, it will be Brock versus Daniel Bryan, which I think will be an awesome match. I'm not complaining about that, because I do think that will be an awesome match. I think those two guys can do something. If anyone has ever seen Daniel Bryan versus Morishima, and I'm not saying that Brock Lesnar is as good as Morishima, because right now he probably isn't, but he's close, and he can pull off that type of thing. That could be an awesome, awesome, awesome match. And so I get that. But Brock isn't the guy. Bray Wyatt would have been the guy. Somebody else down the line. That should be something that makes a guy, not a guy that doesn't need to be made, if you know what I mean. And that's one of the other things that ticks me off. It was weird seeing people on Twitter, because a lot of people were saying people just up and left after this match. They were so pissed. People were screaming refunds. Also, people were pissed about this. It took a long time for people to get over this. It really, really did. Oh, by the way, I forgot to talk about Bray Wyatt. And that didn't help either, because Bray Wyatt lost against John Cena. The match itself was pretty good. It told a story. It was, Bray Wyatt is good, but he's not that good, and John Cena can be good, but he's not that good. So they had a good match that told a really good story. The problem is that the story it needed to tell, we didn't get the end, because at the end, the whole thing was Bray Wyatt's trying to get, John Cena basically just turn heel, is what he's trying to do. And he's not doing it. And so there's even a chair in the ring, and Bray Wyatt's telling him to use the chair, and he's refusing to use the chair. The thing is, either John Cena needed to lose because he finally decided, you know what, I'm going to cheat to win. I'm going to try to kill this guy. Or he should have been DQ'd. That way, you can do the match again at Extreme Rules. You can do whatever, and you know, this could be a really good storyline as far as a storyline. It doesn't need to be, you know, this match probably went a little too long as well. That would be one of my gripes about the show, is probably some of the matches went way too long. This match didn't need to probably go as long as it did. They told a really good thing, and Bray Wyatt completely commanded this crowd, with them, you know, singing, you know, the crowd singing to Bray Wyatt, them swaying with Bray Wyatt. It's a crazy. If you have not seen this and you're watching this video, you need to. It's just insane. I'm sure you will see videos of it. Was just the craziest thing ever. But yeah, John Cena beating Bray Wyatt just did nothing for me. I don't see why we need to do it. Then you had the Vicky Guerrero Divas Invitational match. I don't even know why this happened, because AJ won. AJ wasn't beaten, so it's like, what's the point? And Vicky apparently is leaving after tonight. Maybe tomorrow will be her last day, which means she'll probably be humiliated in some horrible way. Then we had the main event. Randy Orton, who got his entrance live. The band that plays his entrance was there, and so they played that live. Versus Batista. I do wonder why Batista didn't get, you know, they brought Batista back, and he doesn't have the spotlight entrance, and really, if he's going to be heel, he should probably have the spotlight entrance, so there's that. Versus, of course, Daniel Bryan. This match was great. Daniel Bryan won, so really, I don't have a lot of complaints. My one big complaint was that, you know, they set this up where Daniel Bryan was hurt, Daniel Bryan was injured, and instead of having him go out there and him being kind of the focal point of the match, at the start of the match, he wasn't the focal point. He was basically, you know, hurt, tossed out of the ring, and it was Orton and Batista. Eventually, it was they started, you know, that's what it was both of them kind of against Daniel Bryan. Triple H came out. They kind of started overbooking stuff. Looked like they killed Daniel Bryan at one point through this, you know, it was a Batista bomb / RKO thing that, you know, looked like Randy landed on a monitor on his back, cut his back all up. Match was great, though. Not going to complain about the match. And Daniel Bryan won. We got our moment. Confetti going everywhere. Everyone's screaming yes. He brought in, I'm thinking that was his sister that he brought into the ring. The announcers didn't say. Maybe they didn't know. I don't know. He brought somebody. But great show. You know, the show was great. Even with the Undertaker losing, which I don't get. I'm trying not to scream. I didn't get. I basically stood there and just was like, what the fuck is wrong with people? What? I mean, you know, like I said, we don't know what the deal was. If this was something that, you know, they decided as a group, this was stupid. This was so stupid. If this was something Undertaker just decided to do, you know what? Okay, whatever. It's his decision. This is the last match. I have seen some people say that they did this so that, like I said, for Daniel Bryan match, and that Undertaker comes out, says he's now lost, he really doesn't have anything, he's done everything there is to do, he gets ready to leave, and then tomorrow Sting comes out and says, you have one more thing to do. And then next year they do Sting versus Undertaker, smoke and mirrors. I know people, I've seen people go, why does anyone want to see that? Because it's an event. It's not going to be, I don't think anyone is under illusion it's going to be this great, wonderful match. It's going to be a moment. And I think that's what people want, is that moment. And so they go, you know, next year you show up at WrestleMania, you and me, one time, you know, my last match, your last match, be done with it. So there you go. Which capped off a pretty damn good weekend of wrestling, from what I saw. So anyways, so that was WrestleMania. That was WrestleMania weekend. So, yeah, so Raw tomorrow will, of course, be the crazy after WrestleMania Raw that we always get, full of, you know, the hardest of the hardcore fans. So it's like this weird Raw that just is, you wish every Raw could be. I expect Bray Wyatt to be over in such a crazy and wild way. I expect us to get Fandango dances because, or Fandango dances because we got that at WrestleMania, which we haven't gotten since, really since, you know, that. Daniel Bryan will be over in a way that few people have probably ever been over in a building. Brock Lesnar will probably be booed out of the building. Yeah, that will you know, and whatever. And if Sting shows up and it's Undertaker, those are the fans you want because those are the fans that are going to go completely apeshit for that moment, and that's what you want. So we will see. Anyways, with that, I've talked about 30 minutes about this, and lots of other stuff. So, like I said, it was a good weekend of wrestling. Like I said, I guess I could go over some of the other stuff I saw now. So you had, like I said, you had Open the Ultimate Gate from Dragon Gate. First two matches, the first match was overbooked crap. The second match was complete. I mean, I literally rated this fuck this match because it was AR Fox, which, you know, no AR Fox match should be this, and it was. Mr. A is not very good, and then you had Teddy Hart come in with his cat. It was completely fucking stupid. This was like, and I think what Gabe was trying to do is he was trying to do what they used to do in ECW, where you'd have all these run-ins, and the run-ins would then be over and the match would continue. And ECW worked because it was just like crazy. Okay, it worked in the context of ECW. It doesn't work in the context of Dragon Gate USA. So yeah, there we go. You had Rich Swann versus Buff Busick. This was pretty good. I was kind of from the first two matches because of the overbooking, like I said. Then you basically had a Chikara match. You had Chuck Taylor and Drew Gulak taking on the Colony of Fire Ant and Green Ant. So basically we had 3 ants in this match. For those of you that know. Yeah, so this was good. This was good. Then we went to intermission. Intermission was long. Then we had Low Key versus Trent Baretta. This was very good, I thought. Of course, I'm a big fan of Low Key. I thought this was really good, so there was that. Then we had the whole reason why I wanted to watch the show when, you know, I couldn't watch the Ring of Honor show. I said, I'll go ahead and order this because Chris Hero versus Masato Tanaka, they did me proud, and they were awesome. Then we had Johnny Gargano taking on Ricochet. I didn't like this match as much as a lot of other people did because Gargano started doing classic heel stuff, and I just didn't feel it. And the last sequence with the belt shot was kind of cool. I was just like so horrified after the first 2 matches and the overbooking of that. I was having flashbacks, so I just didn't enjoy this as much. So, still a great show. Still recommend checking it out. I heard the Saturday night show. Don't watch. Run away from it. Maybe if you want to watch the opening match, you watch that. But that's all. Stay away from that match. And I heard the Evolve show was okay. I heard the same thing with the Odyssey show. Some just weird booking stuff on the Gabe shows. Yeah. Then we had Shimmer, which I watched, which was, like I said, you know, even discounting this was an all-women show, it was still great. You know, I'm sure LV is going to do a big, huge, you know, review of this since he was there live, and that's his thing. So, but I did watch it, LV. See, I told you I would. But still, really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. Really, I mean, just yeah. Then we had then we had New Japan, and of course, like I said, I saw Kaiju Big Battle. I don't even remember everything was on Kaiju Big Battle. It was fun though. It was Loud and Obnoxious being, you know, him. Loudon being Loudon. I mean, it's the Loudon show in my opinion. Just awesome stuff, and yeah. So then we had the New Japan show, which was again a great show. I felt so. You had let's see, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson taking on Kota Ibushi and El Desperado, which was very, 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 very good. You had Makabe, Nagata, Sakuraba taking on Suzuki, Taka, Michinoku, and Taichi. This should have been so much better. Hopefully we get a Sakuraba Suzuki match, because that was kind of fun. But the rest of this match was just, it was okay. But I think a Sakuraba Suzuki match could be fun in a fun kind of way, not in a, ooh, great match kind of way, but just kind of a fun kind of way. Yeah. Then we had the NWA World Tag Team title match of Rob Conway and Jax Dane taking on Tenzan and Kojima. This was good, or this wasn't good. This was okay. Tenzan and Kojima won, so now Kojima is the NWA World Champion and the one half of the NWA Tag Team Champion. So there you go. There. Then we had the Gracie match. Was better than it had any right to be. Still was not a good match. Even an okay match, but it was better than it had any right to be. So. Then we had Taguchi taking on Prince Devitt. This wasn't as good as you would have thought it would have been. It looks like this might be Prince Devitt's last match. Don't really know. Not really sure what's going on. Is he going to WWE? Is he going to TNA? I can't really see him going to TNA. Is the thing. I just can't. I can't see why they would give him more money than they're giving AJ. But there we go with that. Then we had Okada and Yoshihashi taking on Bad Luck Fale and Tanaka. This was okay. This was really only to set up AJ Styles coming and joining the Bullet Club, and he looks like he might be the leader of the Bullet Club. It was a pretty awesome little segment. Not gonna lie. Then we had Ishii versus Naito. Yeah, you want to see that match. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to want to see that match. Then we had Carl Anderson, Doc Gallows taking on Goto and Shibata. It was a good match. Wasn't as good as you would hope. The fans just aren't into Anderson and Gallows. So, unfortunately. Then we had Tanahashi taking on Nakamura. Again, great, as you would expect. So, there you go. So, anyways, now I'm done. Yay. Okay, I'm out of here. You guys have a good one. I will talk to you soon. Maybe.